Hey guys, it's me, Professor STARSTAR. So, let's say you're me and you're just watching YouTube until this ad appears. If you're wondering what the actual heck that was, then you're in luck because that's what we're talking about. Or, more specifically, the company that ad comes from. So, let's get started. So, let's begin with what kind of company ItemLabel is. ItemLabel is a company that focuses on selling various items such as apparel, patches, and plushies that feature original characters such as Peepy, the one you just saw in the ad we just saw, Sucklet, Wee Wee, and more. The best way to describe it is basically the Sanrio company's estranged cousin. Just a side note, I am not being paid by ItemLabel to talk about them, I just thought it'd be cool to talk about them. Another thing I'd like to note about ItemLabel is that they are a revenge-based company. And that means that this company was created to show up and embarrass our enemies. I'm being dead serious. These words were taken straight from the About section on ItemLabel's website, and I absolutely love them. Now, before we get to talking about the commercials, let's talk about our cast of interesting characters, one of which is Peepy, and he's basically the Hello Kitty of ItemLabel. He really likes peanuts, and on the outside is really sweet, but please keep in mind for the rest of this video that he's actually a criminal. Oh, and by the way, we're talking about all these little guys in order of who appeared first, which means we're talking about Sucklet next, which are the things on the thumbnail. Sucklet is, according to his theme song, a star-shaped snack from a distant, unseen universe that exists to eat snacks. And just like Peepy, he is a menace to society. Then there's Wee Wee, which is just a younger version of Peepy. After that, we got Molly, who is a mole. Shocking, I know. And all he wants to do is be buried under the ground. And he hates the outdoors. After that, there's Dinkle. Dinkle apparently is a failed chiptune musician who is taking a break from social media after getting cancelled, which, honestly, probably makes Dinkle a pretty sad character, and you'll see why that is later. Finally, there's Homie, and yes, I know there are more characters than just these guys, such as Donuts and Mun, but most of them aren't that important per se, and plus there's like a lot of them, so obviously I can't talk about all of them. And also, the last character we're talking about is Homie. Apparently, he is a house-shaped creature of some sort, whose homies are too busy to see him, which is kind of sad, honestly. And also, just a side note, pretty much all the ItemLabel characters live in a place called the Joljarian Jungle, just so you know. So now that we're done talking about the company itself and the characters, let's talk about the commercials, because boy are they interesting. So, before we get to talking about these commercials, I just want to tell y'all that I'm only talking about the commercials that are full-length videos, and that I'm not talking about the YouTube shorts. Why? Because there are too many shorts, and I do not have enough time to look at those. And also because when I skimmed through a few of them, they were literally just a bunch of memes. So, after watching all the full-length commercials, I'm going to be sorting all of them into different categories. These categories are live-action music videos, simply talking to the audience, animated music videos, and animated videos that are not music videos. Oh, and there's also this one commercial that isn't part of what I like to call the ItemLabel lore, and it's the commercial Whisper by Froyo Tam on ItemLabel, and it's basically just an ad for a font, albeit a very cool looking one. Anyway, let's first talk about the music videos because that's what most of the commercials focus on. One music video that I'd like to touch upon is Homie's Sweet Home. Why, you may ask? Because it reveals, a lot about Homie. Why? Because the music video is basically about a giant homie massacring a city full of ItemLabel's characters, just to find what seems like an army of smaller, tinier homies. Yeah, the music video also reveals that Homie has the ability to shoot lasers out of his mouth, so, cool, I guess. By the way, we're only going to be talking about 4 music video commercials because, again, there's a lot of them. Another commercial called Baby Dinkle dives into more of Dinkle's lore. Apparently, according to Baby Dinkle, he used to be famous when he was a child. What he did to become famous, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it has something to do with his bell. But the thing is, when he grew up, he kind of lost that fame. My theory is that the reason why Dinkle got into chiptune in the first place is to try and keep that fame he got when he was a child. However, that didn't work. So now all he does is reminisce of the past and try to be happy, which is kind of sad. Also, side note, another thing I found out about Dinkle that is pretty wild is that in Dinkle's chiptune, it is heavily implied that he killed 20 people. Why? Probably because they hated his music. Anyways, let's now talk about Peepy's secret. You see, this music video is different than the other music videos, because apparently, this commercial has no subtitles, so it's very hard to figure out what the heck is happening in this one. Luckily, I found a video by the user Pickaxe channel that gives us the lyrics of Peepy's secret, and boy are these lyrics interesting, mainly because even though I have the lyrics, I still do not understand what Peepy's secret is. All I know is that it must have something to do with Pink Peanuts, the many keys on his front porch, how he disappeared for a moment in the evening, and how he is a little out of breath after that. However, judging by the imagery in the video itself, I think I might know what Peepy's secret is, and it's that Peepy must have something to do with aliens or, like, other universes, or maybe be an alien himself, like Sucklet or Yufu, another alien character. This is because at the end of the video, we see Peepy and two wee-wees in a spaceship driving towards the sun, which is why I think Peepy may be an alien like Sucklet. However, another question arises, which is, what's up with the pink peanuts? Well, I guess it's probably safe to assume that pink peanuts just make Peepy act more strangely, which may explain the many jiggling keys on his front porch. Now it's time to talk about King Sucklet. As the title suggests, this ad talks about King Sucklet, the king of all sucklets. This commercial follows some guy, presumably an ItemLabel employee or someone that relates to the company. This is because, from what I've observed, most of the ItemLabel human characters seem to relate to the company itself. Anyway, this guy, who I'm calling Steve, is looking for the King Sucklet, so he heads to the Joldarian jungle. Why is he looking for the King Sucklet? Well, it's because of the King Sucklet's hidden treasure. While at the Joldarian jungle, Steve takes pictures of some sucklets that are just hanging out in trees and writes notes about them, which further proves my theory that Steve is a part of the ItemLabel company. He then finally finds the King Sucklet's hidden treasure, which is 3 sticks of rock candy. Nice. However, when he gets the treasure, he gets attacked by poison sucklets, which, wow, didn't know that was a thing, and then Steve almost dies. But before he could do that, he heads to the King Sucklet's castle, gives him his treasure, and passes out. Luckily, the sucklets spare him, and Steve wakes up on a beach with his notepad and some Pringles. Yikes. Anyways, time to talk about the non-music videos, specifically the ones where a character talks directly to the audience. We're first going to be talking about the ItemLabel VHS. Now, I'm not just going to run down what happened in the video. Instead, I'll just summarize the important info that comes from it. For example, how all of ItemLabel's characters come from the Joldarian jungle, as stated before. We also discover that there are different types of peepees that eat different foods. For example, the peepee we see in the infamous peepee ad is a type that eats peanuts. However, a corn pea eats corn dogs. We also learn how to differentiate a real sucklet and a fake sucklet. And that's all really. I kind of thought this VHS would give us more info, but apparently it mostly focused on doing tricks with the ItemLabel products, so I guess we'll go to the next commercial. So, the next commercial is ItemLabel to You, which takes the form of a digital press presentation. How fun! So, what do we learn in this digital press presentation? Well, apparently we don't really get much info from this presentation because none of the questions presented aren't even answered. The only thing we get from this are that we should not let food within the vicinity of Peepy or Sucklet, and that Peepy is apparently a reptile. Now, let's talk about how to take care of your peepee, which takes the form of what seems to be, a DS game, I think? Okay then. So, what do we learn from how to take care of your peepee? Well, we learn how to take care of your peepee, obviously. So, yeah, we also learn that peepee likes peanuts, as we already very well know. How to make Professor's Mix, which honestly sounds kind of disgusting because why would you mix M&M's with bacon mixed in coconut shavings? Anyways, we also learned how to make a house for Peepy, and that apparently there's a queen Peepy. We also learned how to make Peepy get proper exercise, because if you don't, you're going to get a mega Peepy and you don't want that. We also learned how to make sure Peepy feels loved and cared for, and how to properly rest your Peepy. Well then, that was actually informative. Alright, we also learned that peepees can carry diseases, which is mildly concerning, not gonna lie. And finally, we're going to be talking about the animated videos that aren't music videos. The first one we'll be talking about, which, by the way, isn't a lot because from what I've gathered, there's only like 2 of them. Yeah, anyways, the first one we're talking about is ItemLabel Theme Park. In this video, ItemLabel creates a theme park based on its characters. However, they happen to be using real sucklets. Oh no! And apparently, the sucklet rights organization does not like that. So the company shuts down the theme park, which lets the sucklets go free in the wild. Pretty straightforward, no new lore here. Next, we have the ItemLabel tournament, which is exactly what it sounds like. ItemLabel's characters fighting each other to see who's the strongest. So, according to this short, who is the strongest ItemLabel character? Well, apparently it's Homie, according to the rankings, which I'm honestly not surprised by because, as we've already learned, he can shoot lasers. And, well, that's all the animated shorts that are not music videos. So what now? Well, it's time for my final thoughts. So, what do I think of ItemLabel as a whole? Well, I'd say the way they advertise their products is pretty good, actually, because they're so unique and cursed, and they stand out from all the other commercials that it convinces people to want to buy their products. My only criticism is that the products are a little overpriced. Honestly, I feel like $30 for a little plushie is a bit much. However, the website describes the plushies as collectible art and not toys, so I guess that's justified? I don't know. Anyways, that's all for now. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.